Really, how hard was last year for you, especially, it seemed like that Dolphins game, you're kind of getting into a groove, and then you got hurt, and then it was over like that. What was that whole experience like for you?
I would say it definitely left a pretty bitter taste in my mouth for sure. This whole offseason. Obviously, my last carry was the fumble on the goal line, and then next time I touched the ball was to play the end of my season. And so those are the two plays that I get to look back on as the last two of that year. And so just attack that rehab process with hunger and a whole lot of motivation. Never want to leave the field those 2 ways again.
Was that kind of the toughest part to trying to get over, especially considering the fumble and then what happened afterwards?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, felt like I was off to a good start that game, and we were rolling as an offense. And that just, kind of killed the momentum for us. So definitely things I look back on and reflect on, and like I said, never want to repeat.
How close are you to feeling 100%, both physically and mentally?
I mean, if we're calling that Miami game 100%, I'm way past that for sure. I mean, this is quite literally the best I've ever felt, the biggest I've ever been, the strongest and fastest I've ever been. So I got to give a lot of credit to the staff here. I mean, I stayed here my whole rehab process and worked with our trainers and our strength staff. And I had all the trust in the world that they were going to get me back to where I wanted to be. And they did that and some. And I can't thank them enough. So very grateful for the team that we have here. And I feel great and extremely excited to go this season.
At what point did you start to feel like yourself again?
I would say probably early to mid-March. I got medically cleared in February, and still, was kind of like getting used to some things and some movements, and didn't necessarily have all my strength. But once March hit, I kind of, broke right past that wall, and ever since then, everything's been uphill, and I feel incredible.
How much bigger are you?
I'm about 250 right now. I played 238, 240 last year, and this is we do our DEXA scans. I wouldn't say 3 or 4 times a year, and the most recent one I did was by far my best, the most lean muscle mass I've ever had, the lowest percentage of body fat, perfect symmetry in both my legs and my arms, and everything looked exactly how we wanted it to.
What's your excitement level? You kind of went to last year with this thought of you, Bruce, and Isaiah kind of being this 3-pound Washington tackle. What's your excitement level this year going into it with new offense with Frank Reich?
It's just the same. I'm always excited to share the field with those guys. Those are my brothers. Everybody in that room. I think this offense can be special. I know our room has shown plenty of flashes to be special, and we just got to put it all together. I mean, my work on the practice field just needs to translate to the game, and I'm ready, and I know I'm capable of being the player that I want to be. So I'm just excited to get out there and show it.
Did you say you're 250 now?
Yeah.
When you made that decision, obviously with a lot of hard work in the weight room, but was it also talking to Coach Reich as far as your role and how 250 could be okay for what they're looking to do with you?
It wasn't a conversation. It was by accident, in all honesty. I mean, that style of training, like this is the same type of kind of routine that gained all my weight from going from high school to college. Just the hypertrophy training and just adding muscle mass, and my body just responds to that type of training in a way that I'm just going to keep growing and growing. So I actually had a conversation with the strength staff today about that and changing my training, because if we don't change, I will be 255, 260, probably have my hand in there at some point. So we had to change. We're gonna have to change that probably. And my eating habits have really been pretty much consistent throughout this whole process. Just my body just responds to weight training. So we'll see where they want me to be when the season comes. But right now, I feel great where I'm at. So,
And obviously, you went through the injury, so you're motivated naturally anyway. But do you feel like you're motivated going into year 3 to kind of prove that you could still be the kind of player that you?
Oh yeah, for sure. The time is now, for sure. It was a lot of reflection, a lot of thinking during this time off that I had. That rehab takes a toll, and you kind of just got to tell yourself, what do you want to get out of this, and who do you want to be when you come out of this. So I put a lot of thought into that, and like I said, the time is now for me. I can't sit and wait around anymore. Once I get that opportunity, I can't look back.
What kind of value do you think runners like yourself downhill really, kind of smash mouth runners bring to teams and bring to this league? It's a speed league, but you bring that physical up.
Well, I think it's aligns perfectly with the culture that we want to build here, and the culture that AG sees this team embracing. And I feel like I'm also a lot more than that. I feel like I am versatile. I'm a versatile player and can do a lot of things. That just happens to be my superpower. And I think when we get into those late season games and it's cold and it's a lot riding on the line. I want to be the guy that they can lean on and just play my brand of ball and embrace that.
Do you gravitate towards watching other players with that skill set?
Oh, yeah.
I'm thinking Scatterable just across the state here.
Yeah, I don't have a relationship with him, but I respect his game a lot and his running style. I think most people know I'm pretty close with Derrick Henry, and I feel like he's kind of the model of that style of running and, for bigger backs. So I would say, yeah, Derrick's probably the guy I relate mostly to and can lean on him, and we talk all the time.
Are your kickoff return days done?
Well, I'm willing to do whatever they ask me to. But I'm crossing my fingers that they don't ask me to do that again. But more than willing to do whatever's asking me, of course.
AG said it was good to see you back out there. I know obviously not a lot of contact yet, but how does it feel just getting a ball in your hands and able to run out there?
Man, a breath of fresh air for sure. That first day was just kind of a weight taken off my shoulders. Obviously I was doing drills and stuff and running full speed and all that, but then getting to be in a team setting, 11 on 11, and seeing if I can still make the same cuts and react the way that I want to, and for it to feel even better than I was before was such a relief, and just so blessed and so happy to be where I'm at right now.
When it comes to making those cuts, was it a trust factor that you had to kind of feel out, or just like a mental thing that you had to get over?
Honestly, it wasn't really any mental block when it came to it. Like I said, the strength staff and the training staff did a great job in preparing me to the point where when the time came, I knew I was going to be ready. And I had done a ton of it, before OTAs. So when I got on the field, it was just, right back to where I was.
How much more comfortable do you feel like to enter in year 2 compared to where you were this time last year?
Yeah, I definitely feel a lot better now because, coming in last year, I had like pre-draft and everything going on, but this year I had like a full off season to train and really focus on football, so I definitely feel a lot more comfortable right now.
What were your goals this offseason? What did you try to accomplish, before you guys reconvened here and then down to spring?
I just say, just get my body back right and then really just getting as strong and explosive as I can and, trying to master this new playbook and just really be dialed in this year.
How different is the playbook?
It's not crazy different. I feel like for us O-linemen, it's not too challenging, so it's been good.
What would a successful second season look like for you?
Really, I'm not there right now. I'm just trying to have a successful OTAs. I'm trying to, finish off this next week right, and then once we get into training camp, get better so we can have a good year.
What's been your impression of Gino, even just from talking to him in the huddle and behind the scenes and things like that?
I just feel like he's been commanding the huddle really well, and I see his leadership on the field, so it's really good to have him here.
We asked Josh Myers about you, and he said you have the opportunity to be potentially one of the greats. So when you hear that, just what are your thoughts go through your head? It means a lot for obviously for one of my teammates to think that highly of me, and I just want to keep, like I said, just keep improving and just keep getting better.
What did you work on this offseason as far as training? Sometimes that jump from year 1 to year 2, guys want to do a lot in the offseason to tweak certain things. What was your big focus from a training standpoint as far as get faster, quicker, stronger? What was that like?
For me, just being explosive, because I feel like I'm already pretty strong, so just trying to work on, being as explosive as I can be.
What's it like when you look across line of scrimmage and you see Devondre Sweat over there?
See? Big ass dude.
helpful is it that even though you have a new offense, you have the same offensive line coach to help you in the transition?
Yeah, it's been great. You know, we kept a lot of the same guys. So, yeah, just having Steve back and then, you know, having Tip next to me and then, like, guys like Olu and Chooks in the room, you know, just working on our craft together. It definitely is good for our, like, camaraderie in the O-line room.
I know it's limited with no pads on right now, but Bailey, when you lined up against him the first round pick, what have your impressions been of him?
Yeah, no, I think he's gonna be a really good player. He got good speed off the edge, and you know, I've been going against him a little bit and just trying to pick up on his moves and stuff, and he's really impressed me so far.
I know you were a soccer player in high school, right? So did you?
I did not. Nah, I didn't play soccer in high school.
No?
Nah, a little bit growing up, but not in high school.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought I read that you played in high school. But anyway, do you have any interest in the World Cup games being here at your home stadium?
Yeah, I think I might catch a game. Yeah.
Do you know which one you're going to go to? Or you have any idea?
Not yet. I might go to the one this weekend. Yeah.
What's it like for a tackle? Because obviously now in practice you're facing a lot more 3-4 defense. What's it like blocking a 4-3 end compared to a 3-4 outside linebacker?
I mean, I feel like it's just about the same. Sometimes it's just a little more wider in that 3-4, so you just got to have that mentality. You got to go out there and win, especially like on them 3, 4, 5 down looks. You know, you're gonna be a little bit more one-on-one compared to 4-3. So that's the biggest thing. Just like knowing you gotta, you know, hold your own by yourself.
Think of more?
Just to ask you another World Cup follow-up, do you think it'll be weird to see the stadium with natural grass on the surface?
I'm not really tapped into that, so I'm just excited to see the soccer game.
Is Cameroon in? I'm not sure. Are they in?
I'm not sure.